Hey guys, I'm Prodigy from Airsoft Hero and Airsoft Team Kilo23. Today I have for you the review of the CO2 powered Desert Eagle gas blowback pistol. Now, the pistol itself is actually a pretty hefty little guy. I mean, it's big. It's a Desert Eagle and it's a 50 caliber version. So you can consider it one of the largest airsoft gas pistols you can buy. The slide of the weapon, the upper portion, is all metal. It's pretty solid. It does wobble a little bit, but it's something you got to get used to with all gas pistols. The lower section of the weapon, pistol grip, the lower frame is all made of a durable plastic. When you get your gun, it's going to come in a pretty nice box, but inside is styrofoam, so it's not going to get damaged during shipping. Aside from the gun and magazine, the gun will include an Allen key, so you can put CO2 in your magazine. A box of Cybergun .2 gram rounds. These aren't the greatest quality, so I recommend using higher quality ammo with your gun. A speed loader, which can also double as a cleaning rod, which is kind of nice. And finally, an instruction manual. This tells you everything you need to know about the gun, including how to disassemble it. Now, the gun is not going to include 12 gram CO2 cartridges, which are needed for this gun to work. You can pick those up at Airsoft Hero or any other local sporting goods store. Now, I highly recommend if you purchase this weapon, you have very big hands. This thing, it's very big for me. I've got pretty big hands, and it takes my entire hand to wrap around this thing. I'm barely able to actually hold it. 50 caliber grip is pretty big, so you gotta have big hands to handle this guy. The gun is powered by a CO2 magazine, so obviously it'll take a 12 gram CO2 cartridge. It can hold about 20 rounds. The lower section of the magazine here is all metal. The upper half here is plastic, so I highly recommend handling this with wear. Replacements are pretty expensive. Once your magazine is loaded, you can pop it into the gun. Should lock pretty securely. It does stick out about a millimeter or two extra. I'm not sure why, it's just the design of the gun. After that, you can rack it back and fire the weapon. Now, this weapon is pretty loud. It's pretty natural for a CO2 gun to be loud, but with this metal slide and such a huge weapon, it is very loud. So on the field, this can be a very formidable weapon. The controls of the weapon are pretty straightforward. It has an ambidextrous safety. When you see the little red dot there, it can fire. When that is off, it is on safe. The trigger cannot be pulled. Flip it off again, you can pull the trigger and fire the weapon. Now, to fire the weapon, the hammer has to be cocked back. Even if you put the magazine in and pull the trigger, it will not fire unless the hammer is cocked back. Once you're out of ammo, you can press the magazine release here, this little button just behind the trigger guard, and pull out the magazine. Slide release on the weapon is on the left side. It's not ambidextrous, so it's not on the right side. Simply push it down and release your slide. To disassemble this pistol, simply press this button on the other side, on the left side of the weapon, and rotate this small switch forward. You can take the barrel off, it slides forward, and the slide can also slide forward after the barrel has been taken off. Reassembling the Desert Eagle is pretty straightforward. Reinstall the slide, then reinstall the barrel. Also, make sure your recoil springs are aligned. It's pretty straightforward how to do that. Now, as you can see on top, the barrel of this gun does actually have a rail that you can mount an optic on. If you want, you can put a dot sight or something on here. I know some marksmen put small scopes on this weapon. And of course, the muzzle of the gun has a plastic orange tip. This can be removed, it is glued in, but I highly recommend you leave it in place for law enforcement purposes. The weapon does have licensed trademarks by Cybergun. They are very realistic. They say IMI, Desert Eagle, etc. Magnum Research. These are just stamped onto it. It's not engraved into it. It's stamped into it with a white paint. On the right side of the weapon, there is a little sticker that talks about 1 joule maximum. So there isn't really a lot of power behind this because it's CO2 powered, but it's enough to get the job done on the field. Now, because the CO2 powered Desert Eagle is such a large weapon, for a handgun at least, it's not going to fit in most holsters. So I recommend you either get a Desert Eagle specific holster or get an adjustable holster. Now we can see how hard the Desert Eagle is shooting with .25 gram rounds. With 2.5 gram rounds, the gun is shooting about 270 to 300 feet per second. It's pretty good for a gas pistol like this. Alright, testing the range of the CO2 Desert Eagle at 50 feet. Obviously at 50 feet, it's dead on. Now the range and accuracy of the CO2 Desert Eagle at 100 feet, our final distance. Alright, at 100 feet, you're pretty much going to hit your target in about 8 or 9 out of 10 times. It's pretty accurate. Now, you can find the CO2 powered Desert Eagle for $180 on AirsoftHero.com. Makes a pretty good addition to your collection. I'm Prodigy from Airsoft Hero and Airsoft Team Kilo23. Go be the Airsoft Hero on your field.